Hi everyone, good morning. Welcome to the Rangers Reviews very early pre-match build-up for today's 12 o'clock kick-off between Aberdeen and Rangers at Pittodrie. Chris is up in Aberdeen, he's at Pittodrie, he's at the game, so we'll come straight to you, Chris, as we get into the team. How are you doing? How was your drive up there, and what are you expecting from what is an absolutely huge game today?
Drive up was good, as you say, Josh. It's a huge game. If it's 3 points and back down the road, then it's a successful afternoon for Rangers. The events yesterday have put a slightly different slant on this one. It was always going to be a must-win game for Rangers. Always going to be a hugely important game for Rangers. But considering the opportunity and the chance to cut that gap in the title race, there's certainly plenty at stake here for Rangers. So interesting side, a strong side, and it's certainly one you would back to and get the job done here at Pittodrie.
Yeah, right. Let's get straight into the team because you mentioned it there, Chris. I asked `𝐁𝐤 about his midfield puzzle on Friday's press conference, and Cifuentes is the man he has turned to with no Jack or Raskin. I'll read it there. It's obviously on the screen in front of you. Butland in goals, a back four of Tavernier, Goldson, Balogun and Barisic. Lundstrom continues in midfield with Jose Cifuentes making his first start under Philippe 𝐁𝐤. His first start, I think, could be wrong, but either the Motherwell game or the Betis game, certainly his first start in a while. Lawrence, 𝐁𝐤 and Sima play behind Danilo, who is the central striker. I'll read the substitute bench for you. It goes Dessers, Sterling, Suter, King, Matondo, Yilmaz, McCrory, McCausland and Lammers. We'll read out the Aberdeen team as well. They go Roos, Devlin, Jensen, Rubezic, Gortenman, Sockler, Chinny, McGrath, Clarkson, Duncan and Miofsky. Chris, I'll just get your initial thoughts about that starting 11. For me, there was three big decisions: who plays at number 10, who plays at left centre-back, and who plays in the midfield. I wonder how much the structure of the midfield changes because, as 𝐁𝐤 said in midweek, it's different profiles in there compared to what Jack or Raskin can do. I also think Cifuentes, as we'll maybe come on to, the type of player he is, the type of qualities he has. It's a big test for him today, but you hope that the qualities he does have maybe help Rangers a little bit with their lack of natural width in a right winger, because Todd Cantwell, you'd imagine, continues there today. But that's my immediate reaction to the team. What's yours?
Firstly, it's also a huge blow that Ryan Jack's not available, because he had strung a few games together, had been looking good. That partnership with John Lundstrom had given Rangers really solid midfield base over the last few weeks, and it's almost sums up Ryan Jack's Rangers career in the last few seasons. It just seems to be getting going, and we think he can go and he turn out the games once again that he finds himself out. So that's a huge blow for Rangers. As you mentioned, as you spoke to the manager about on Friday, there's not really a natural like for like. There's plenty of midfield bodies. There's lots of guys that can come in and do a job, but there's lots of guys that come in and do different jobs. There's not really a set position. They're not really someone that can come in and do what Ryan Jack does. It's a really big afternoon for Jose Cifuentes. He's not had a lightning start to his Rangers career. I think Will gave him a bit of time, and also had to be patient with him considering the move that he made and also the country he's coming in from, the type of league he's coming in from. But eventually, as was the case with Dessers and Lammers and everyone else, eventually you have to get going. So this is a really big afternoon for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan says here, a member of the channel, Cifuentes has struggled with the pace of these games, which is a bit of a worry. Hopefully he takes his chance. Derek and I spoke about this last week, Chris, and I was effectively saying, and there were some comments in mitigation saying, look, he's not had much time, new culture, new football culture, new pace of play. And I think all that's true. My point more was, okay, look at the structure of the midfield, and we've covered extensively the fact that Rangers are now playing with more natural width. That's handed Ross McCausland his chance, for example. It's moved Todd Cantwell's position. This was a team in the summer that was very much built to play with two or three number 10s, central attacking options, and the midfield's been stretched in that regard. But that's not only impacted the either wide area, it's also impacted who plays in the centre of midfield. John Lundstrom, Ryan Jack and Nico Raskin are all kind of, I think, quite traditional central midfielders who can play in that double pivot, whereas a player like Jose Cifuentes or Kieran Dill, I think, were more obviously signed to play in a midfield three. But what I think Cifuentes might give you today, I think he's at his best probably from what I've seen so far, and we've not seen that much, Chris, probably 4 or 5 matches. If you think back to the pass he played for Danilo, which Danilo should score it away at Servette, that's the type of areas, I think, where he's at his best, in the half space, delivering passes from there. I think that's where he made a lot of his impact for LAFC, a goal-scoring midfielder who could arrive late, but is especially effective in that right-sided channel, and was probably signed to kind of complete that right-sided triangle, Rangers need midfielders if they're playing in a 3 who can make an offensive impact when they're facing deep defences. Today, my hope would be that if he's making those runs, it might allow Cantwell to more naturally move inside, because Cifuentes sometimes will naturally go on the outside. But as you say, it's a huge test, because although he's not had much time is a bit of a commodity at Ibrox, and we'll see how he does today. Another player who keeps his place, Chris, Tom Lawrence. I tweeted out he was making his first start, but it's of course his second start under Clermont, having played against Livingston as well. Sam Lammers, who has been a bit of a favourite, or I say a favourite, he started quite consistently. I guess we've not really known what Clermont's thought of him, because he's not had many options in there. I don't think too many people will be upset that it's Tom Lawrence in that starting 11 today, Chris, especially because of I think the impact he's had overall, but he had a pretty good game against Livingston, and obviously it was his pass that kind of prized open the defence for Dessers to open the scoring on that day.
As in that, I think that pass and that move shows what Tom Lawrence can bring to the side. That's why he's someone a bit different from the rest of the options in there. He can play those passes. He's head up. He's looking forward. He's also got a real goal threat himself. I've seen him score goals for Rangers previously. At the start of last season, he also chipped in with a couple. And he just offers again something different. I think he offers far more threat than Sam Lammers on that area of the pitch. I've spoken a lot about Lammers over the course of the season. That area of the side does look more dangerous with Tom Lawrence in there rather than Lammers. In my opinion, we've spoken about why the manager has stuck with Lammers. He couldn't just come in and bind him. There's been a reason behind why he's played as much. Yeah. During this next run of games, so big tests, big games, must-win games. If this is Lammers perhaps being phased out of the side a wee bit, and we then see Lawrence come in with perhaps he can't well playing 10 and someone else coming in playing on the right hand side, I think that makes Rangers middle at the front a lot stronger.
Yeah, and I guess you look, Chris, at Danilo and Sima, both players who have done well, who have played well since Clermont's arrived at the club. I think they give you. I think the threat they give you, Sima's pace, but also Danilo's movement up the top end of the pitch, has been such a notable impact since Philippe Clermont arrived. And Todd Cantwell probably continues on the right. We wrote about this during the international break. He spoke in the mix zone after, I think it was the Sparta Prague game at home, saying that Clermont's seen something in him in that position. I mean, still to be seen whether I think domestically that can get the best out of him over a longer period of time, Chris. There's probably a reason for Clermont playing him there. There's probably a reason that previous managers have not played him on that side, but maybe slightly harsh that Ross McCausland doesn't keep his place. I'm of the opinion, though, you probably want your best players in the team for a game like this. You can't really afford to start Todd Cantwell on the bench. So what's your thoughts about kind of the remainder of that front four and Cantwell's position and performance specifically?
On the face of it, it does seem slightly harsh on Ross. He's obviously come into the team against Livy, played really well, done everything that was asked for him. He's then gone away, international duty, made his debut. A lot of positive noises about his contact over last week as well. So it's all pointing in a positive direction for Ross McCausland to then find himself on the bench. But I think it's good management from Clermont. It's not piling too much on a young man straight away. McCausland is going to have a part to play, one over this run of games, but two over this over the rest of the season. He's going to have a part to play because he offers something the Rangers are short of in the squad. They don't have enough natural width, don't have enough pace in that area of the pitch. So he's going to offer something over the course of the campaign. Just because he's not starting here in a really difficult afternoon for Rangers, I wouldn't read too much into it. As you say, Josh, I think Cantwell overall, even if the role is perhaps not his best, his most effective, his most natural, Cantwell is a better player than Ross McCausland right now. And I think having Lawrence in there, as I've said, I think that's a good call. Sima on the other side had to start. And Danilo, again, he just had to come back in. I know that he's got his goal at Livy a couple of weeks ago, but also Danilo is a far better option through the middle. So I think there's a lot to like about the Rangers side. Perhaps actually quite a lot to like about the bench as well. There's options there. How many times have we been doing these videos pre-match with a lot of kids, a lot of guys just come back from injury? No, the manager does have options. Also, McCausland's there. Good to see Matondo back in the squad. Dessers hope to get a bit of confidence after the Livy goal. Also, Lammers is there as well if needed. So I think there's a lot to like about the Rangers squad as well as the Rangers side today.
Dave says, I like this team. Very simple, Dave. I like that comment as well. Robert says, I'm actually quite confident. It's a good starting 11 and a strong bench. Let's put the pressure on. David thinks it might be a bit light in midfield. Pete says he believes in Cifuentes today. 𝐤𝐤 will have perked him up to kickstart his career again at Rangers, I feel. And finally, Chris, as we just come on to the overall picture, Scott says, big game today. The performance and the result will be telling, in my opinion. I mean, you're right, Chris, that the result yesterday, Celtic dropping points, you can't ignore that. The Rangers squad will, of course, know that, travelling up the road yesterday and travelling to Pittodrie today. This is a big game in isolation anyway. Sometimes I think it's blown out of proportion a little bit. In my opinion, while you always have to match these games physically, the best football team will win, and Rangers need to go into this and show their quality more than they need to necessarily win the battle, although that's also important. But Chris, you can't ignore the outside noise. This would be terribly deflating for Rangers if they weren't to pick up 3 points, and although they've still got a game in hand, so the points deficit would still be, what would it be, 6 points if they were to win today. If they are to do that and then are to win their game in hand, suddenly 𝐤𝐤 has really cut that gap since coming into the side to the club. So you can't ignore the overall context. This is a big opportunity for Rangers today. They've been promising up until this point, but I think we've said quite consistently, listen, they've started well under previous managers. It's days like today which I think will really decide what direction the season's going to go in for Rangers.
The manager has done his best over the last 4 or 5 weeks since coming into the club to play down title talk. He's not going to get involved in that type of chat, unfortunately. But as you say, Josh, it's impossible to ignore it. If Celtic had won yesterday, this would still have been a really important game for Rangers. The fact that they didn't, it takes it up another notch. Now we've all said over the last few weeks what Rangers have to do over this run, and that was to go into the Parkhead game no worse off than they started it. They've now got a chance to get into the Parkhead game with real momentum and a chance to put a real kind of marker down for the second half of the season. So it is one game at a time. It's one big test at a time. You've got Pittodrie coming up, Tynecastle coming up, Easter Road coming up. Ibrox games are potentially be tricky ones as well. So it's not a case of, well, Rangers just turn up, win the next 12 games in all competitions and everything's hunky dory. There's a lot of football to be played. It does have to be just taking them as they come, but it would be a real signal of the improvement and a real signal of the mentality of this squad if they can come here this afternoon and get a really big 3 points.
Yeah, we shall see. Should remind everyone, over 600 people watching us, our Black Friday offer is still on. You can get a whole year for just £12. If you like the videos, if you want to support us, this is the best way to do it. It's the best way to keep us doing these videos post-match, pre-match, throughout the week, and all the fantastic content that is on the website as well. So please do subscribe. All the relevant links are in the description, and it's the best way to support the Rangers review and keep it going. We'll be back after the game. You'll have all your in-game analysis from Chris up at Pittodrie. You can follow us on social, join our WhatsApp channel if you've not done so already, and of course all coverage throughout the week, regardless of the result. But hopefully it is a positive one for Rangers today at Pittodrie. Until then, thanks to Chris, thanks to all you guys for watching, and we'll speak to you after. Bye for now.